have to say this is really frustrating. I've just found an old crab pot that's just dragging along the bottom, all caught up in seaweed. The buoy at the top of the line's got no writing on it. It's really old and covered in seaweed. So I've just spoken to the fishermen over here on a boat and said, hey guys, would you mind grabbing this out? And no, they won't have a bar of it. Really poor form. I've got it stuck up on the front of my little canoe here and I'm going to take it back to the beach. But it shows you the attitude of some people. Not interested in looking after the waterway. They just want to come here and get what they can out of it and bugger off again. Really frustrating. Well, we made it across from the mainland over to the island. Beautiful South Stradbroke Island, really lovely day here at about 25 degrees. Run across was pretty smooth, picked up an old cray pot, which I tried to offload to a boat, but they wouldn't have a bar of it, so I ended up pulling that back over here and throwing it into the rubbish here. Just waiting for the tide to bottom out now. It's going to be bottom out about 1:30, it's only 11:30 now. And I'll head out and do a bit of fishing for the afternoon, which will be nice. Just waiting for the, as I said, the tide to bottom out and for the tide to come back in and bring all the fish back in from the ocean. And that will be absolutely brilliant. Looking forward to getting out, I have to say. Well, with the strong wind and the even stronger current, I've had to walk the canoe right up the waterway here. Flicking in off the banks, no joy at all. So what I have noticed though is that's what everybody else is doing in their tinnies. They're just going along the sides of the edges of the sandbars and they're flicking into the bank. So what I'm going to do is something different. We'll tie it to an old prawn trawler over here and we're going to flick down the sides of that, see if there's any brim hiding underneath. Well, it's very windy here. We've got the lure off and change lures. Let's see how we get on here. lot of weed in the water. It's unfortunate. Well, no joy with the fishing. The place is getting absolutely flogged. There's just boats everywhere. I just came back to camp, dropped the canoe up. I'm walking down towards the mouth of the river or down south. It's a long way down there. I'm not going to go all the way, just down a bit further towards some mangroves. Just talking to a couple of guys that pulled into camp on a big professional fishing boat, and they were saying there's a comp on this weekend. They've pulled out 50 jewfish or mulloway, a whole lot of flathead and so forth. And this is a problem with a waterway like this, where you're close to the city of the Gold Coast, and you've just got boats everywhere. So this waterway is getting probably overworked, I would suggest. I'm surprised the rangers aren't cruising up and down, just making sure they keep it all in check, but I would suggest it's probably getting overfished by now. So anyway, it's really nice out here on the beach. Beautiful afternoon. We'll head down. You never know your luck. Little crab just went down in that hole. Cheeky little bugger. A few little crab holes here. You see them coming out for the food. Well, we'll head to the edge of the water here. Not sure how deep it's going to be. It looks fairly flat. But yeah, we'll have a flick out around here. At the edge of these weed beds. See what we can catch ourselves. Yeah, unfortunately way too shallow and flat here. We might head up towards the sandbar over here and see if we can get to the water there. See if that's an opportunity for us. Well, unfortunately these mangroves have got us beat. So unfortunately it's all mud down through here and so forth, and it's not worth traipsing through all of that. So I think what we'll do is we'll head back up river, back up to the camp, use the canoe to come back down the river, and with the tide and the wind, etc. And then when the actual tide turns and comes back up again, we'll come back home to camp with the canoe itself. Cheers, guys. Unfortunately, no good with the fish. Not with the rod. Couldn't get a damn thing. Just too murky the water. Spoke to a couple other guys over here. Glenn next door, same problem. He got a couple of brim over in the sandbar earlier today, so I think I might head over there again early in the morning when the water's a bit clearer. We'll see how we get on. Well, I've woken up to an absolutely beautiful morning. Tide's just slowly working its way back in again. 6:30 in the morning. It's pretty quiet on the water at the moment, which is great, so I'm just going to have this coffee and head out myself. Not sure which way to go at this point in time. I'm thinking probably downstream against the tide, but we'll see. There's no wind, which is lovely. Good night's sleep at the campground last night. Pretty quiet actually. Quite surprising. I thought it might get a bit rowdy, but it was pretty good. So can't complain at all. Just walked down the beach here to a quiet spot to have a cup of coffee. And as I say, we'll head out on the water. Alright, we are off. Now to these mangroves. The sandy flats. See if we can pick up some whiting or some bream. Either or will be nice for lunch. Nice and clean out in the channel here, I've noticed. It's obviously just along the banks and that rock wall that the sediment's coming in. So hopefully over this side it'll be a bit cleaner, the water, and we'll get a better chance of catching a fish. Unfortunately, no joy at the mangroves. You get one strike on the surface, couldn't get it to replicate. I'm on the edge of a sandbar here. It's about, I don't know, 100 metres off the actual mangroves themselves. See if we can get something feeding on the side of the actual sandbar itself. This weekend's an absolute bust. No fish, but great camping. Ended up coming back across at about 10:30 in the morning this morning. I had to get kicked out at camp. There's someone else moving into that camp spot, which was fine. But I decided to come back over in the evening now, and where I'm sitting right now is on a sandbar, and I got about 2/3 of the way over and was absolutely battling a very, very strong 25km/h wind and a tide running out, and was just getting flogged. It took me about 45 minutes to get about, I don't know, 500 metres. Anyway, I decided I'd step out on the canoe onto the sandbar. It was about a foot or two of water. No, tripped over, swamped the boat. The whole thing just filled up. The waves just poured in. The whole thing just leveled out. Unfortunately, didn't have the GoPros going. So anyway, as I'm towing it back, there's stuff floating out the back of it. So I'm going back to get tackle boxes and so forth. And I've got about halfway to the actual sandbar itself where I could get it out of the water and turn it over and clean it out and put all my gear out. And I noticed that the bigger paddles out floating way off in the distance. It's just going with the wind and the tide. And it's like, I'm not going to see that again. So anyway, turned the canoe over, cleaned it all out, got in the canoe, walked back down again, couldn't find it. Well and truly gone. But anyway, bit of adventure at the end of a weekend. Really worth coming to South Stradbroke Island. It's a beautiful place to camp. Well recommend it if you're interested in this part of the world. It's a busy place. During the week, if you can do it, would be much better because it is very busy on the weekends, but well worth the trip. Thanks for joining me on this adventure. I'll see you all in a fortnight's time. Bye for now.